In 2011, the world watched as the Libyan state collapsed. Muammar Gaddafi, who had ruled Libya for 42 years, was captured and killed on October 20th. But his death was not the end of the story. 8 children survived him. Some vanished into exile, others faced prison. 2 died during the conflict itself. 1 became a symbol of defiance. Another faded into complete obscurity. These were not ordinary people. For decades they lived at the center of absolute power. They commanded military units, negotiated with world leaders, and controlled billions in state resources. Then, almost overnight, that world ended. What happened next was not uniform. Each child's trajectory fractured in a different direction. Some resurfaced years later, others remain silent to this day. This is not a story about ideology or politics. It is a factual accounting of what became of Muammar Gaddafi's children after the collapse. No speculation, no dramatization, just outcomes documented as clearly as available evidence allows. Muhammad Muammar Gaddafi was born in 1970, 1 year after his father seized power in Libya. He was the eldest biological son born to Gaddafi's first wife, Fatiha al-Nouri. Unlike his younger brothers, Muhammad entered the world before the full consolidation of the Gaddafi regime. His early childhood coincided with the initial years of revolutionary restructuring in Libya, a period marked by uncertainty and rapid change. Because he was the firstborn son, certain expectations followed him. However, his father's political philosophy did not emphasize dynastic succession in the traditional sense. This created an ambiguous position for Muhammad from the beginning. He was never groomed for political leadership in the way later sons would be. Muhammad's upbringing was relatively private compared to his siblings. He did not appear frequently in state media. He did not deliver speeches or participate in public ceremonies. His education focused on technical fields rather than political theory or military training. This distinguished him from brothers like Saif al-Islam, who were deliberately positioned as public figures. The distance from politics appears to have been intentional. Whether this was Muhammad's choice or his father's design remains unclear. What is documented is that he pursued interests outside the ideological framework of the Jamahiriya. He showed no interest in revolutionary rhetoric. He avoided military roles entirely. Muhammad's professional life centered on telecommunications. He held leadership positions within Libya's state-run telecommunications infrastructure. This was a technical role, not a political one, though in a state-controlled economy the distinction was never absolute. He managed systems and contracts. He did not shape policy. His work brought him into contact with international technology firms. He traveled for business purposes. He attended industry conferences. These activities kept him engaged with the outside world, but in a commercial rather than diplomatic capacity. He was known in technical circles, not political ones. This career path gave Muhammad a degree of separation from the regime's security apparatus. Unlike his brothers Mutassim or Khamis, he did not command troops. Unlike Saif al-Islam, he did not represent Libya abroad. He remained a technocrat within a revolutionary state. Muhammad married and had children. His family life was kept private. Details about his spouse and children were not publicized. No photographs appeared in international media. No interviews were given. This level of privacy was unusual for the children of a head of state, particularly one as publicity-conscious as Muammar Gaddafi. The privacy extended to his residences and lifestyle. While other Gaddafi children became known for lavish spending and international scandals, Muhammad maintained a lower profile. There are no documented incidents of extravagant behavior or diplomatic controversies involving him. He did not appear in European tabloids. He was not photographed at casinos or luxury resorts. This restraint may have been strategic, it may have been temperamental. Either way, it positioned him differently than his siblings when the regime began to collapse. When the Libyan uprising began in February 2011, Muhammad was in Libya. He did not flee immediately. He remained in Tripoli as the conflict intensified. On August 21, 2011, as rebel forces entered the capital, Muhammad was briefly detained. He was held at a house in Tripoli. Within hours, he escaped. The circumstances of his escape were disputed, but he successfully left the area. Muhammad fled Libya entirely. He went to Oman, which had maintained neutral relations with various parties in the conflict. Oman granted him refuge. He has lived there since 2011. He has not returned to Libya. He has not made public statements about the war, his father, or his family. He has not participated in any political activities related to Libya. His current status is that of a private individual in exile. He is not under indictment by any international court. He is not wanted by Libyan authorities. He lives quietly in Oman with his family. He does not give interviews. He does not appear in media. He is, by all available evidence, attempting to live outside the shadow of his father's legacy. Whether he will remain in Oman permanently or eventually relocate is unknown. What is known is that he has maintained complete silence for over a decade. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi was born on June 25, 1972, in Tripoli. He was the second son and was born to Gaddafi's second wife, Safia Farkash. Unlike Muhammad, Saif al-Islam grew up entirely within the consolidated Gaddafi state. By the time he reached adolescence, Libya's revolutionary system was fully established. He was raised with the clear understanding that he was part of the ruling elite. From an early age, Saif al-Islam was visible in state functions. He appeared in photographs with his father. He attended official ceremonies. He was introduced to foreign dignitaries. The pattern of his upbringing suggested preparation for a significant role, though the exact nature of that role evolved over time. Saif al-Islam studied abroad extensively. He attended educational institutions in Austria and later in the United Kingdom. He obtained an MBA from the International Management Institute in Vienna. He then pursued graduate studies at the London School of Economics, where he completed a PhD in political philosophy in 2008. His thesis focused on civil society and democratization. These credentials positioned him as the most Western-educated of Gaddafi's children. He spoke fluent English. He moved comfortably in European academic and diplomatic circles. He cultivated relationships with intellectuals, business people, and politicians. This Western orientation became central to his public identity. The legitimacy of his LSE degree later became controversial. Questions were raised about whether the degree was earned or facilitated through donations to the institution. The LSE conducted an internal review. Regardless of the controversy, the degree served its function during the 2000s. It established Saif al-Islam as a modernizer and potential reformer within the Libyan system. During the 2000s, Saif al-Islam emerged as the public face of a younger generation of Libyan leadership. He founded the Gaddafi International Charity and Development Foundation in 1997. Through this organization, he negotiated the release of hostages, funded infrastructure projects, and promoted human rights initiatives. He spoke about political reform, economic liberalization, and reconciliation with the West. He was not formally part of the government. He held no official ministerial position, but he acted with authority. He met with Western leaders. He gave interviews to international media. He was described as a reformer, a modernizer, and the heir apparent to his father. Many international observers believed he represented Libya's future. This image was carefully constructed. Saif al-Islam presented himself as pragmatic, educated, and open to change. He spoke about transparency, rule of law, and civil liberties. He distanced himself rhetorically from the more authoritarian aspects of his father's rule. This positioning earned him credibility in Western capitals and among Libyan exiles who hoped for gradual reform. Details about Saif al-Islam's personal life are limited. He never married publicly, though there were reports of relationships. He has no confirmed children. Unlike his brothers, he did not build a visible family structure. This may have been deliberate. It kept his personal life separate from his political persona. His lifestyle, however, was well documented. He owned properties in London and other European cities. He attended high-profile social events. He collected art. He moved in circles that included celebrities, financiers, and politicians. This lifestyle reinforced his image as cosmopolitan and Western-oriented, but it also created distance between him and ordinary Libyans. When protests erupted in Libya in February 2011, Saif al-Islam's response was immediate and severe. On February 20th, he appeared on state television and delivered a speech warning of civil war. He rejected calls for reform. He promised that the government would fight to the last bullet. The speech shocked many who had viewed him as a reformer. It made clear that when forced to choose, he sided entirely with the regime. As the conflict escalated, Saif al-Islam remained in Libya. He did not flee. He appeared in media broadcasts. He gave interviews. He portrayed himself as defiant and committed to his father's cause. After Gaddafi's death in October 2011, Saif al-Islam went into hiding. He moved through southern Libya, attempting to reach a friendly neighboring country. On November 19, 2011, he was captured by a militia in the town of Obari, near the Libyan border with Niger. He was taken into custody and held in Zintan, a city in northwestern Libya. The Zintan militia refused to hand him over to the transitional government in Tripoli. They held him in their own detention facility. In 2011, the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Saif al-Islam, charging him with crimes against humanity. Libya also charged him with murder, embezzlement, and other offenses. In 2015, he was tried in absentia by a Libyan court and sentenced to death. However, the Zintan militia continued to hold him separately. In June 2017, Saif al-Islam was released under an amnesty law passed by the Libyan parliament. The legitimacy of this release was disputed. Some factions in Libya did not recognize it. The ICC warrant remained active. Nevertheless, he was no longer in detention. Since his release, Saif al-Islam has remained in Libya. He has given very few interviews. In 2021, he announced his intention to run for president in Libya's planned elections. Those elections were postponed indefinitely. His political future remains uncertain. He has support among some Libyans who view him as a stabilizing figure. Others see him as a symbol of the old regime and reject any return to power. Saif al-Islam remains the most politically active of Gaddafi's surviving children. Whether he will successfully re-enter Libyan politics, face international prosecution, or fade into obscurity is unknown. His story, unlike most of his siblings, is not yet finished. Al-Saadi Gaddafi was born on May 25, 1973. He was the third son of Muammar Gaddafi and Safia Farkash. Like Saif al-Islam, he grew up entirely within the established Libyan state. He was raised in privilege and had access to resources unavailable to ordinary Libyans. His upbringing was marked by wealth, international travel, and freedom from accountability. Unlike his older brothers, Al-Saadi showed little interest in academics or politics. He was not positioned as a technocrat like Muhammad. He was not groomed as a diplomat like Saif al-Islam. Instead, his interests centered on sports, entertainment, and celebrity culture. Al-Saadi became obsessed with football. He wanted to be a professional player. Despite limited talent, his father's position allowed him to pursue this dream in ways unavailable to others. He joined Italian football club Perugia in 2003. He played sparingly. Performance-enhancing drugs were reportedly involved. He later played for Udinese and Sampdoria, always in limited roles. His time in Italian football was widely viewed as a vanity project. Coaches and teammates gave diplomatic statements, but few believed he belonged at that level. After his football career ended, he returned to Libya and took a leadership role in the Libyan Football Federation. He used state resources to fund sports projects. He built a personal brand around athletics, even though his actual achievements were minimal. Al-Saadi lived publicly and controversially. He appeared frequently in international media. He was photographed at parties, nightclubs, and sporting events. He developed a reputation for excessive behavior. Reports of violent incidents, drug use, and confrontations circulated in European media. Despite this lifestyle, he also held official positions in Libya. He commanded a military unit, the Libyan Special Forces. The extent of his actual military role is unclear. The unit was involved in security operations, but whether Al-Saadi had genuine command authority or merely held a symbolic title is disputed. Al-Saadi married and had children. His wife's identity was not widely publicized. He had at least 2 children, but details about his family life were kept relatively private, despite his public persona. This created a contrast. His social life was highly visible, but his domestic life remained shielded from media attention. When the 2011 uprising began, Al-Saadi fled Libya. He went to Niger in September 2011, where he was granted temporary asylum. He lived there for over 2 years. In March 2014, Niger extradited him to Libya under international pressure. He was detained in Tripoli and held in Al-Hadba prison. Al-Saadi was charged with crimes committed during the 2011 conflict, including the killing of a football player and other offenses. He was held without trial for several years. In 2018, he was acquitted of some charges but remained in detention. In September 2021, he was released from prison after negotiations between his family and Libyan authorities. After his release, Al-Saadi left Libya. He went to Turkey, where he currently resides. He has given occasional interviews. He has expressed interest in returning to Libya but has not done so. He lives in Istanbul. He maintains a low profile compared to his pre-2011 life. He is not involved in Libyan politics. He is not wanted by international authorities. His future remains unclear, but his days of public extravagance appear to be over. Mutassim Billah Gaddafi was born in 1974. He was the fourth son of Muammar Gaddafi. From an early age, he was directed toward military and security roles. He received military training in Libya and abroad. He was positioned as a potential successor within the security apparatus, not through political institutions. Mutassim's upbringing emphasized loyalty, discipline, and martial values. He did not pursue higher education in the West. He did not cultivate a reformist image. He was a hardliner, aligned with the most authoritarian elements of the regime. Mutassim served as Libya's national security advisor. He held significant influence within the intelligence and military structures. He commanded units involved in internal security. He was responsible for suppressing dissent and maintaining regime control. He traveled internationally on security matters, meeting with counterparts in other countries. His role brought him into conflict with his brother Saif al-Islam. The two represented competing visions for Libya's future, Saif's reformist rhetoric versus Mutassim's security-first approach. This rivalry created tension within the regime. It also reflected broader uncertainty about succession. Muammar Gaddafi never formally designated an heir, which allowed multiple sons to position themselves as potential leaders. Mutassim was known for lavish spending. He traveled with large entourages. He hosted parties in luxury hotels. Reports surfaced of payments to American celebrities to perform at private events. He embodied the excesses of the regime's inner circle. When the 2011 uprising began, Mutassim stayed in Libya. He did not flee. He took an active role in the regime's military response. He commanded forces defending key locations. He appeared in propaganda videos urging resistance. He remained loyal to his father until the end. In October 2011, as Gaddafi's forces retreated to the coastal city of Sirte, Mutassim was with his father. On October 20th, 2011, both were captured by rebel forces. Video footage shows Mutassim injured and detained. Shortly after, he was killed. The exact circumstances of his death are disputed. Some reports indicate he was executed. Others suggest he died from injuries sustained during combat. Mutassim Billah Gaddafi died at age 37. He never fled. He never stood trial. He never had the opportunity to build a life after the regime. His story ended with the regime itself. Hannibal Gaddafi was born on September 20th, 1975. He was the fifth son of Muammar Gaddafi. Unlike some of his brothers, Hannibal did not pursue a clear professional path. He did not join the military. He did not engage in politics. He did not build a technocratic career. Instead, he lived as a wealthy individual without specific responsibilities or defined roles. Hannibal's temperament was volatile. He became known for outbursts, confrontations, and incidents involving violence. His behavior created diplomatic problems for Libya on multiple occasions. Hannibal's most notorious incident occurred in Switzerland in July 2008. He and his wife were arrested in Geneva after allegations of assaulting domestic staff at a luxury hotel. Swiss police detained them. Hannibal claimed diplomatic immunity. The incident escalated into a major diplomatic crisis. Libya retaliated by cutting oil supplies, withdrawing assets from Swiss banks, and arresting Swiss nationals in Libya. This was not an isolated event. Hannibal had been involved in other violent incidents in Europe. In 2005, he was accused of assaulting his wife in Paris. French authorities investigated. In 2004, he was involved in a high-speed chase in Paris that resulted in his arrest. Each incident followed a similar pattern: violence or recklessness, arrest, claims of immunity, diplomatic intervention. These incidents damaged Libya's international reputation. They embarrassed the regime. They also revealed the impunity with which Gaddafi's children operated abroad. Hannibal faced no lasting consequences for any of these actions. Charges were dropped. He returned to Libya. He continued his lifestyle without interruption. Hannibal married Aline Scoff, a Lebanese model and businesswoman. They had children together. His family life was turbulent. Reports of domestic violence appeared in European media. Aline herself filed complaints against him on multiple occasions. The marriage was marked by instability and public conflict. Despite these problems, Hannibal maintained a visible presence in Lebanon through his wife's connections. He traveled frequently between Libya, Lebanon, and Europe. He had no fixed professional occupation. He lived off family wealth. In December 2015, Hannibal was abducted in Lebanon. He was taken by an armed group linked to Lebanese Shia cleric Musa al-Sadr, who disappeared in Libya in 1978. The group believed Hannibal had information about al-Sadr's fate. They demanded answers. Hannibal was handed over to Lebanese authorities and detained. He was held in Lebanon for years without formal charges. Human rights organizations raised concerns about his detention. His health deteriorated. His family launched legal efforts to secure his release. In June 2024, a Lebanese judge ordered his release, citing illegal detention and poor treatment. He was freed after spending over 8 years in custody. After his release, Hannibal remained in Lebanon. He has not returned to Libya. He has not made significant public statements. His current status is unclear. He lives in relative obscurity compared to his earlier years. His trajectory illustrates the collapse of privilege, from diplomatic incidents to imprisonment to uncertain exile. Aisha Gaddafi was born on December 23, 1976. She was the only daughter of Muammar Gaddafi and Safia Farkash. Her position as the only daughter gave her a unique symbolic status. She was presented as a modern Libyan woman, educated, professional, and active in public life. She became a tool for the regime's messaging about women's rights and progress. Aisha studied law at the University of Tripoli. She later pursued further studies in Paris. She obtained a law degree and presented herself as a practicing lawyer. She joined her father's legal defense team when he faced international prosecution. She participated in legal conferences and spoke about international law and human rights. Whether she practiced law in any substantive way is unclear. Her role appeared more symbolic than functional. She did not represent clients in ordinary cases. She did not work in a law firm. Her legal career was tied entirely to her father's political interests. Aisha became a public advocate for various causes. She spoke at international forums about women's rights, Palestinian solidarity, and anti-Western imperialism. She was appointed a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations, a position later revoked. She gave speeches, she appeared in media. She cultivated an image as a politically engaged intellectual. This public role served the regime's purposes. It demonstrated that Libya was progressive. It countered narratives about authoritarianism. It gave a human face to the Gaddafi family. Aisha was articulate, photogenic, and comfortable in international settings. She was an effective messenger. Aisha married Ahmed al-Gaddafi al-Qassi, a cousin and military officer. They had children together. Her family life was presented as traditional and stable. Unlike her brother Hannibal, she avoided scandals. She maintained a controlled public image. Her personal life remained mostly private. In August 2011, as Tripoli fell, Aisha fled Libya. She was pregnant at the time. She crossed into Algeria along with her mother and other family members. Algeria granted them refuge. On August 30th, 2011, she gave birth to a daughter in Algeria. Algerian authorities confirmed her presence but did not allow her to engage in political activities. Aisha later moved to Oman, where she currently resides. She has not returned to Libya. She has not made public statements about politics. She has not participated in efforts to restore Gaddafi loyalists to power. Instead, she has focused on art and private life. Reports indicate she paints and exhibits artwork under a pseudonym. She lives quietly with her family. Aisha's trajectory represents a complete withdrawal from public life. She went from being the most visible woman in Libya to living in deliberate obscurity. She has not given interviews. She has not written memoirs. She has chosen silence. Whether this is strategic, legal, or personal remains unknown. Saif al-Arab Gaddafi was born in 1982. He was one of the younger sons of Muammar Gaddafi. Unlike his older brothers, he did not pursue a public career. He did not hold government positions. He did not command military units. He did not appear frequently in media. He lived privately and avoided the spotlight. Saif al-Arab studied in Germany. He attended university in Munich. He lived abroad for extended periods. His life was quiet compared to the extravagance of some siblings. He was not involved in scandals. He was not known for excessive behavior. He maintained a low profile. On April 30th, 2011, a NATO airstrike hit a residential compound in Tripoli. The target was reportedly a command center used by the regime. Saif al-Arab was in the compound at the time. He was killed instantly. 3 of Muammar Gaddafi's grandchildren also died in the strike. The Libyan government immediately condemned the attack. They displayed Saif al-Arab's body to journalists. NATO confirmed the strike, but stated the target was a military facility, not individuals. The incident became a point of controversy. Critics argued it violated international law. Supporters argued it was a legitimate military operation. Saif al-Arab Gaddafi died at age 29. He had not participated in the conflict. He had not been accused of crimes. He had lived quietly. His death was collateral to the larger war. His story ended abruptly, without the exile or imprisonment that marked his siblings' fates. Khamis Gaddafi was born on May 27, 1983. He was the youngest son of Muammar Gaddafi. From an early age, he was trained for military leadership. He attended military academies in Libya and Russia. He received advanced training in tactics, command, and counterinsurgency. He was groomed to be a military leader, not a politician or diplomat. Khamis was considered one of the most capable of Gaddafi's sons in terms of actual military competence. He was disciplined, organized, and effective. He commanded respect within the armed forces. He was not known for the personal excesses that characterized some of his brothers. Khamis commanded the 32nd Reinforced Brigade, commonly known as the Khamis Brigade. This unit was one of the best equipped and best trained in Libya. It served as a regime protection force. It was used to suppress dissent and maintain internal security. It was loyal to the Gaddafi family personally, not to the state as an institution. When the 2011 uprising began, the Khamis Brigade was deployed to quell protests. It was involved in violent crackdowns. Human rights organizations documented its role in killings, detentions, and attacks on civilians. Khamis personally led operations. He was present on the front lines. He was an active participant in the regime's military response. On August 29, 2011, during fighting near Tarhuna, Khamis Gaddafi was killed. Reports indicate he died in combat or shortly after. His death was initially disputed. The regime denied it. Later evidence, including DNA testing, confirmed his death. He was buried in an unmarked grave. Khamis Gaddafi died at age 28. He never fled Libya. He never stood trial. He never had the opportunity to defend or account for his actions. His death removed one of the regime's most effective military commanders. His legacy is tied entirely to his role in the conflict. Unlike his surviving siblings, he left no post-2011 story. Hana Gaddafi was identified as Muammar Gaddafi's adopted daughter. According to the official Libyan narrative, she was killed in 1986 during a U.S. airstrike on Gaddafi's compound in Tripoli. The attack, known as Operation El Dorado Canyon, was a retaliation for Libyan-sponsored terrorism. The Libyan government claimed Hana, who would have been an infant or toddler, died in the strike. Her death became a propaganda tool. The regime displayed photographs. They built memorials. They invoked her name in speeches condemning Western aggression. Hana became a symbol of innocent victimhood. In the years after 1986, reports emerged suggesting Hana had not died. Journalists and intelligence analysts questioned the official narrative. Some claimed she had been seen alive in Libya. Others suggested the entire story was fabricated. No definitive evidence confirmed her death. No body was ever independently verified. In 2006, a woman believed to be Hana was reportedly seen working as a doctor in Tripoli. She was identified by sources as Muammar Gaddafi's daughter. Libyan authorities denied this. They maintained she died in 1986. The truth remains unclear. If Hana survived, she has lived entirely outside public view. She has never made a statement. She has never appeared in media. She has never been photographed. Whether she exists, and if so where and under what circumstances, is unknown. Her story is the most uncertain of all Gaddafi's children. Milad Gaddafi was identified as an adopted son of Muammar Gaddafi. Very little is publicly known about him. He did not hold government positions. He did not appear in media. He was not involved in diplomatic or military activities. He lived entirely outside public attention. Details about his adoption, his birth family, and his upbringing are not documented in accessible sources. He was not mentioned in profiles of the Gaddafi family. He was not photographed at official events. His existence is noted in some biographical records, but without elaboration. There is no information about Milad's whereabouts after 2011. He did not flee to a documented exile location. He was not detained. He was not killed during the conflict. He simply does not appear in any post-2011 records. This absence could mean several things. He may have died before 2011. He may be living under a different identity. He may have left Libya without media attention. He may never have existed in the way other sources suggest. Without reliable documentation, his story cannot be told. He remains a footnote, if that, in the broader history of the Gaddafi family. 8 biological children of Muammar Gaddafi are documented with certainty. 2 died during the 2011 conflict, Mutassim and Khamis. 1 died in a NATO strike, Saif al-Arab. 5 survived, Muhammad, Saif al-Islam, Al-Saadi, Hannibal, and Aisha. 2 adopted children, Hana and Milad, remain disputed or unknown. Of the survivors, none inherited power. Muhammad lives in quiet exile in Oman. Saif al-Islam remains in Libya, attempting a political comeback that may never materialize. Al-Saadi lives in Turkey after years in prison. Hannibal spent nearly a decade detained in Lebanon. Aisha withdrew into privacy in Oman. None command armies, none control state resources, none wield the authority they once had. The fragmentation is complete. The children of one of the world's most absolute rulers ended up scattered across continents, some in exile, some in prison, some dead. The dynasty did not survive. The system built around their father collapsed in months. What took 4 decades to construct was dismantled in less than a year. Their legacy is not uniform. Some participated directly in violence. Others lived as passive beneficiaries of a brutal system. Some attempted reform. Others embodied excess. The range of their actions and choices reflects the complexity of living at the center of absolute power and then watching it disintegrate. What happened to Muammar Gaddafi's children is not a single story. It is 8 separate trajectories, each shaped by individual choices, circumstances, and the larger forces that ended the Libyan Jamahiriya. Some stories are finished, others remain unresolved. None ended with the continuation of what their father built. This is what happened to them. This is where they are now, or where they ended. The outcomes are documented. The conclusions are factual. The story, as far as available evidence allows, is now told.